With a growing population, some scientists predicting 10 billion people by the year 2100, we're going to have to work out a way of feeding everyone. Now, I would love to be able to say we all grow our own food in the backyard for our own needs, but I know that's practically not possible. More and more of our food is mass-produced in controlled environments. So are many of the seeds we buy to sow in our own backyards. The world is looking for ways to produce food for lower input costs and from less area. And one of the fields of science that I don't think can be ignored is the topic of genetically modified food. It's a fact, we're probably eating more GM food than we realise. But when the subject's raised, it turns into an emotional slanging match between the believers and the non-believers. But can we afford to be so righteous and ban GM-produced food when much of the world is living below the poverty line? Professor Stephen Powers is the leading scientist at UWA and a grain producer who has been involved in food production for years. Stephen, what is GM technology and how long has it been around?
Well, in a nutshell, it's using particular enzymes that can move a gene from one organism to another. Well, since 1996, we've had so-called GM crops in world agriculture.
So why are we genetically modifying our crops?
Well, we're using that technique in addition to all the classical techniques of plant breeding to give us an advantage that we didn't have before.
What about the argument that you're not consuming a naturally produced food?
Oh, it's naturally produced and natural. The differences between so-called GM canola and non-GM canola are so insignificant that every regulatory authority has said they're the same. And I think the consumer, who must be confused by some of the messages, should know that there's a gene technology regulator charged with ensuring in Australia that any GM product is safe to the environment and to humans.
After all the debate, are the benefits worth it for the farmer?
Yes, or else farmers wouldn't grow them.
Yep.
And for example, on my farm, I grow Roundup Ready GM canola and non-GM canola. And I get certain benefits in certain years, better weed control, I can plant the crop earlier with the GM, and it gets higher yield.
So what does the future hold?
The future holds a combination of classical plant breeding and GM technology to produce good, healthy, wholesome food.
Science and technology is racing against time and we're in a unique situation. Our generation has to make a decision for the future of our planet. Let's hope we make the right decisions for the right reasons.